Hi there, welcome to another episode of Canada's Movie and TV Hosers. This is a show where we discuss all the things in fandom that we love: movies, TV, streaming, books, comic books, audiobooks. I'm Gregory Barrett, I'm one of the hosts. Normally my wife Christine is here. As you can see, this is not Christine. She's gone away for a while. This is one of Christine's cats, Fluffy, and she is not letting me be right now. She's wanting a lot of attention, so I'm trying to see if she can behave so I can get through this. I doubt she will. So this episode, what we'd like to talk about, I got a few things to review, and also want to go through the weekend box office. So last weekend we didn't go through the weekend box office. When Christine was here, I guess we just forgot, or it wasn't a very big weekend, and neither was this one. The Christmas weekend was really bad because there was a storm all over North America, so people weren't able to go, and a lot of people were without power, which, that's a real bummer. So let's see, at the weekend box office here. It looks like it's another weekend of less than 100 million. Jeez. So number one, Avatar, that's no surprise, 63.4 million. This movie's still making a lot of money in its what is this, third or fourth weekend now? Number two, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish with 16.3 million. That's doing pretty good, I think. Black Panther is number three again. That movie just keeps staying in the top five. It's at 4.8 million. And then number four, we got Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody at 4.3 million. That movie is not making a lot of money. That might end up being a flop because it costs like 45 million to make that Whitney Houston movie. I don't know where the money went. Maybe it just went to pay for the rights for all the songs. But I don't know. I didn't really care for it, but if you're a big fan of it, let me know down in the comments below. And number five was Babylon with 2.7 million. So not an overall impressive weekend, but it was better than last weekend where Christmas Eve people don't normally go to the movies, and because of the bad storms and power outages all over Canada and the US last weekend, a lot of people couldn't go and had more important things to worry about. So that's an interesting thing for the box office there. I mean, it's still pandemic, and a lot of people haven't gone back to the theaters. A lot of people don't want to because it just costs so much, and it's not really the greatest experience. And a lot of people just want to wait for it at streaming. And I don't have a lot of money for going to the theater myself, so I try to go only a couple times a week. And if I miss something, I miss something. Oh well. Now, I did go to the theater this week. Did I see? Now, I saw Empire of Light, and I reviewed that last week on last show on Friday. Oh, by the way, we're settling into a schedule of doing at least 2 episodes a week. We record on Friday and then have it posted for Saturday morning. And now this one is being recorded on Sunday. It's the 1st, so Happy New Year, everyone. And we record on Sunday, get it edited, and then get it posted for Monday morning. So we're going with that schedule. If we can do more, we'll do more, but it really just comes down to time. I'm way too busy. I got a full-time job. This is just a hobby. So, and it does take up a considerable amount of time. Plus, I got to watch a lot of stuff. So, I was planning on going to the movies yesterday on Saturday, and it just didn't work out. I had too many things I wanted to do, plus I didn't really feel like it. There's nothing new out here this weekend. In fact, I can tell you guys what's playing here this weekend. I'll just load up my app here, and it's not exactly a big huge list of stuff, because the only thing that's opening up this weekend is Tom Hanks' A Man Called Otto, but it's only opening in limited release, and like most of the world, I don't live in Los Angeles or New York City, so I don't get to go. It doesn't open up in wide release here for another week or two. What's playing here in St. John's? They're playing Avatar: The Way of Water, which is what I end up seeing today, and I'm going to talk about in just a minute. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is still playing here. That came out in beginning of November. That's been out for 2 months now, and it's been in the top 5 the whole time. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, that just came out. That's a great movie. Go check that out. Babylon, I didn't really care for it. It's 3 hours 9 minutes. Empire of Light, I didn't care for that one either. Strange World, which is already playing on Disney Plus. The Fablemans, which it wasn't for me. I know a lot of people really enjoy it and are recommending it for Academy Awards, but it was tough for me to get through that. The Whale with Brendan Fraser, that was also tough to get through. Violent Night with David Harbour, which was a fun Christmas movie there. Not really for kids, but it was a fun time. Not something you go back to see again, but just, go out, have a good time, and then be done with it. It's less than 2 hours. Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody, 2.5 hours, so fans are seeing it, but yeah, I didn't really have a good time watching it. I wanted there to be more. I wanted it to be more like the Bohemian Rhapsody Queen biopic they did a few years back, which critics say wasn't a great documentary, but it was interesting and it went through the lives there, and it kind of glossed over the boring stuff and just told you the really interesting things, and it was organized and structured well, and it had lots of good music in it, so people really enjoyed it. I know that's one of the reasons I really enjoyed it, because it was all just, they dubbed over Freddie Mercury's voice for the lead there, Rami Malek, who was playing Freddie Mercury, and yeah, it was really good. But this one, the story wasn't very interesting. As I said on my short out of the theater review, it's just the same old rock and roll story. It's rise to the top, get into some trouble, tragedy, and then they fall off a cliff, and then there's the fall from stardom. And it was a really kind of very basically structured film, and the music is what I was looking forward to the most. I'm not a huge Whitney Houston fan, but I figured, they play some hits and have fun with it. No, there was barely any music in it at all, and most of the songs they did play, I'd never heard of them. So it certainly wasn't really hits. Maybe they had a problem with the rights and music. It just costs too much. That would explain where their budget of $45 million went. I mean, jeez, because it wasn't on special effects, and I don't know, they spend it all on extras to create all these huge award shows and ballroom scenes? I don't know where that money went for that. What were we talking about? Okay, so today I just went to the theater and I saw Avatar 2 for the second time. This one was just a regular 2D screening, no 3D, no IMAX, which when I went to go see it on preview night, I saw it in IMAX 3D, and it was a great experience. I encourage everyone to go see it like that if you can, because it's really good visuals, and it really helps you immerse yourself into the story, because this and the original Avatar are really the only good 3D movies. Everything else, I can't really think of another good 3D movie. Dread was in 3D. That wasn't so great. Even a lot of the superhero movies, the first Avengers, most of it is just people in rooms talking, a lot of it. Even with all the action, it just wasn't really a good 3D movie. So I went to go see Avatar, and man, it's still way too long. 3 hours, 15 minutes to get through the Avatar sequel. I don't think I'm going to be going back to the theater to watch it again, because you're just sitting there for so long, and I even actually left at one point to go use the washroom, which normally I don't do that in movies, but because it's so long and I had seen it, I was like, I think we're getting to a boring part. I'll cut out now. I'm not going to spoil this movie because it's still relatively new. I want to spoil it though. There's way too much ocean stuff, and there's a section of the movie that has to deal with these fish creatures in the ocean. Don't really spoil it. They're like whales. You see them in the trailer, and there's way too much of that in this movie. They could have just cut that out there. So, yeah. Overall, it's a good story. It's much smaller in scope than the first one, but you can see how they're already planning out some sequels. I will spoil one small thing. So, tell you what I'll do. If I can, I'll put the spoiler alert warning on the screen, and you can just mute your video, and then when I'm done, it'll come off, okay? So I'll take it off, and then you'll know you can unmute it. So, spoilers now for Avatar 2. Just a small joke. There's classic James Cameron moment in this movie where the main guy, Jake Sully, he has to go and talk to the other clan leader and say, hey, we need sanctuary here. They even show it to you in the trailer. And they're talking, and then what happens is, what's his name? I think it's Cliff Curtis is the guy in that movie, which, good on him for playing that. Yeah, Cliff Curtis. If you don't know him, he was in Die Hard 4. Anyway, so Cliff Curtis, who you can't recognize at all, actually, okay? You can definitely recognize these people as in their avatar form. So Cliff Curtis comes out, and they're talking, they're having a good time, and then his wife comes out, who's played by Kate Winslet, and there's a bit of a scuffle, and the clan leader, he just kind of gives that look. It's like classic James Cameron. He's like, sorry about my wife, she's in a bitchy mood today, I'm sorry about this, but we're cool, That is classic James Cameron, always like ripping on the wife or the ex-wife, because he does that a lot. Okay, no more spoilers on that. That was just a small joke there. There is something in this one, I'm not going to say what it is, but there's something weird about one of the characters, and there's a lot of weird stuff that happens around this character, and no one talks about it. And that's kind of what's caught my head. I'm like, why is no one talking about this? If this was a thing in my life, or this happened to me, this would be the only thing I would talk about. I would constantly be doing that, It would be, hey, you're late for work or something. It's like, yeah, because of this time, I'm still traumatized by it. Anyway, I'm not going to spoil it, but go see the movie. They talk about it and skim over it in the first 5 minutes of the movie, and you're like, wait, what? Wait, go back to that, and then they never reference it again. I don't know, I didn't like that kind of storytelling, because I noticed that in my first viewing. I'm like, wait, what? Did they say what I think they just said? And then they never go back to it, really. And just planting seeds that for future movies, but I don't know how you would have just done it more subtly so that you don't draw attention to it, or they could just not mention it at all, actually, and then they do it as a reveal later on. That would have been a way better idea. I think I just rewrote this movie better for James Cameron. Not that he would listen to me. So, I enjoy Avatar 2. I like all the characters. I mean, the effects are amazing. You can't get better visual effects, which is one of the reasons why this movie took so long to make. Now I'm trying to remember all the names, because the first movie was really about Jake Sully, and Neytiri was kind of shortchanged in that movie, and she's also shortchanged in this movie. Now we have several kids. They're in the trailer, and I'm trying to keep track of them and their names. So the oldest one is his oldest son, and that is, where is he? Netium, yeah. So Netium, and then there's their sister Curie, and then their youngest son Loak, and then their youngest, which is their daughter Tuk, which is short for Tuktiri. They just call her Tuk, or Tuk. And James Cameron had said that these movies, it's supposed to focus on a different one of the children. And if I had to guess, it's certainly not Curie's movie. This would have to be Loak's movie, who's the youngest son. Once again, I'm not spoiling anything here. I'd say it's more his movie, although all the characters are in it. You see Sam Worthington as Jake Sully. You see Zoe Saldana as Neytiri. she doesn't get that much to do, I find. She every time you see her, she's just this badass that comes out of nowhere. She's fully capable. She's not, some housewife or damsel in distress. She's a very fierce fighter. So I just feel they don't give her that much to do. And maybe it's because future movies are going to be for her. They have dropped hints and spoilers about Neytiri and other stuff, so anyway, I still give it a best movie ever, but I don't think I can go back to the theater again, even if Christine, when she's back from her holidays with her family, even if she has gone to see it, I'm like, look, I can't go and see that again. I just can't sit there for that long. It took up my whole day. Okay, so that's my thoughts on Avatar: The Way of Water. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. Have you seen it? Are you going to see it? Maybe you've seen it multiple times. Maybe you really like it. What did you really like about it? And what didn't you like about it? Maybe keep it spoiler free for right now because we're still in the first month of the movie being open. Excuse me. Yeah, try and keep it positive there. I have been getting some comments lately on some of the shorts and that I've been posting, and I've been responding to them all, but I'm waiting to read them out on the show until Christine gets back. She may be back for one of the 2 shows next weekend, depending on how her travel plans go. If not, she'll just be back the following weekend. So that is Avatar: The Way of Water. Definitely check it out. IMAX 3D if you can. That would be the best way to experience it. And yeah, I know it's a little bit pricey, but that's the best way. And you'll have a good time. Even though, yeah, it's long. Just try not to drink too much before and during it. My next movie I want to review is Aquaman. The first Aquaman from 2018. This is the only DC movie to make $1 billion, which, that is crazy. And good kitty there. So let me look up Aquaman here. I hadn't seen it, I think, since I saw it in the theater, which was a while ago. I know I saw it at least a couple times in the theater. I probably saw it and then took the family to go see it afterwards, so I would have seen it probably twice. This is if you haven't seen Aquaman with Jason Momoa from 2018, you're going to want to go and see this. This is an absolutely fun, wacky ride. Even if you're not into comic book movies or that, this is just a fun movie. Yeah, it's got a lot of good jokes. It's got an all-star cast. I mean, who knew? They're going to make an Aquaman movie. Sounds ridiculous. Probably the one DC character that's like the biggest joke. But here's the thing is that like really hardcore comic book fans, a lot of them love Aquaman. Aquaman is like this cult classic character that so many people love, and it's even the reason why the comic book kept going for so long, why it didn't get canceled, because all the original DC editors, that was their favorite character, and they just loved Aquaman, so they just kept it going. And there's a lot of good Aquaman stuff in the comics. If you're looking for a suggestion, I would go with the Aquaman run for the New 52 from Jeff Johns. That was quite fun. It was a good introduction to the character. But yeah, this is a wacky movie. This is not Shakespeare. Let's see what it's got a rating. It's got on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got a critic rating of 65%. Doesn't surprise me at all. And an audience score of 73%. Well, I thought it would be higher, but maybe it's just me that really likes this. As I said, they got an all-star cast. And you'd think, how could they get all these people to be in an Aquaman movie? It's because this is a big DC character, and actors are not that dumb. They're not dumb. They know where the money is. They're going to go for these franchise movies because they're going to make millions of dollars off of them in residuals every year. So, I mean, you got Jason Momoa playing Aquaman, Arthur Curry. You got Amber Heard in there as Mera. You got William Dafoe in there as playing Vulcan. Now, why he's in there, it's kind of a nothing role, but I guess William Dafoe wants to get paid. You got Patrick Wilson, who's playing Aquaman's stepbrother, his older brother. Is it his older brother? And Patrick Wilson is one of those guys, he doesn't take himself too seriously. He's been in a lot of stuff, but most people don't know his name or couldn't pick him out of a lineup. He's great, though. Nicole Kidman, okay, she's always amazing, and she's been around forever, and so they got her in this Aquaman movie. Dolph Lundgren, they got Drago from Rocky IV to be in this. Then they got Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who has, since this movie, he's become a much bigger actor because he was in Watchmen. He was cast in Candyman. He keeps popping up all over the place. In fact, I just saw him recently in an episode of The Handmaid's Tale, even though it was from years ago. He plays Black Manta, and I'm going to get to Black Manta. It's great. They got Tamara Morrison in there playing Arthur Curry. That's Aquaman, his dad. Tamara Morrison, that's Jango Fett from Star Wars. He also plays Boba Fett recently in the Book of Boba Fett series. I'm not going to get into that right now. They got Michael Beach there. Randall Park, okay? Randall Park pops up in this. I mean, Randall Park's amazing. I just watched him in Blockbuster, and he's FBI agent Jimmy Woo in the MCU movies. He was in, what was he in there? WandaVision, he popped up. He was also in Ant-Man and the Wasp. He keeps popping up all over the place, and he's hilarious. So they get this all-star cast because they're making this big DC movie with huge budget. In fact, I don't even know what the budget is on this, but I'm guessing it's not small. And so the stars go there because they're going to make a lot of money, even if they're just doing these like dumb roles and just being absolutely ridiculous. So, by the way, in case you haven't figured it out, I'm spoiling the crap out of this movie. So if you don't want to be spoiled, down in the description I put in the time code so you could just jump to the next chapter. And that's also in the progress bar. If you pause it, you can just jump to the next chapter if you don't want to hear this. Otherwise, spoilers for Aquaman. And I mean, it starts off, you got a de-aged Tamara Morrison meeting Nicole Kidman, who's washed up on the shore of his lighthouse at Amnesty Bay, which is where Aquaman hangs out, just like Superman's in Metropolis and Batman's in Gotham. So she just washes up on shore with a trident, and he takes her in, patches up her wound. She destroys his TV. Oh, man. Anyway, so his parents meet. They fall in love. Then he's born. But his mother has to go away because they get attacked by Atlantis because she's queen of Atlantis. And so they get attacked. And Nicole Kidman has her own action scene, which she's great in. I'm sure that it's mostly stunt people, but it's amazing. Justin Lin knows how to make really fun action sequences, and it's got long, continuous shots with the camera that keeps moving. I'm really a big fan of that. I wish you would just keep it going even longer. I mean, there have been movies that are made that they try and make it look as if it's all one long shot. When you're doing action sequences, that works really well. I really enjoy it. So she has to leave because they get attacked by Atlantis. She goes back to Atlantis. He never hears from her again. Just assumes she's dead, even though he's just a small child at the time. Then you get, so Nicole Kidman's in this ridiculous role. Tamara Morrison looks like he's just having an amazing time. In fact, Jason Momoa in this whole movie, he looks like he's just having an amazing time. Because then the movie starts off, it's in the trailer, I remember that from years ago, where he's rescuing a sub that's been taken over by ocean pirates. They've been, there's got to be a nautical term for that. They've commandeered and they've taken over this submarine from the Russians, okay, these pirates. And this is where we first meet Black Manta and his dad. And I'm not going to tell you what happens, but the interaction at the end, I thought it was all right. I mean, way Arthur Curry acts in that, and the way that Black Manta acts, it's not Shakespeare, but it's trying a bit too hard to be Shakespeare, so it's like a soap opera. Anyway, that's a fun action sequence. In fact, he even does his Captain America impression when he takes the roof of the submarine lid there and he rips it off and he throws it Captain America style after he uses it as a shield. Then he's in Amnesty Bay and he's having fun with his dad. They're drinking. And then Mira just walks out of the water and be like, "Hey, I'm here now." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't want to talk to you." And suddenly she's like, "You gotta come and save us. You saved Atlantis from Steppenwolf," which is a reference to Justice League movie, which, if you haven't seen that Justice League movie, there's two of them. There's the Joss Whedon one, and then there's the Zack Snyder one. I don't think either of them are very good. The Zack Snyder one is so long. What else happens in Aquaman? She has to recruit him, and he's like, "No, I don't want to go. I gotta stay with my dad." But then, the surface world's being attacked because his stepbrother's a dick. His name's King Orm, and he's taking over, and he's attacking the surface world. And there's shots of downtown St. John's in the movie, and Petty Harbor. It's a small fishing village. I live like 30 minutes away from Petty Harbor, so if you're looking up good images of a small fishing village, Google Petty Harbor and you'll get some good images there. So he goes with Mira they go to Atlantis. This movie does not hold back at all. That's why I love it. It's a completely wacky comic book cartoon. And because it's based on comics, it's a soap opera as well, because it's just supposed to keep going on and on and on. Because comic book stories with those characters, they never end. They do Act 1, they do Act 2, and they never quite get to Act 3. They're always just reinventing ways of doing Act 2, and it just becomes a long soap opera, and it's great. And they lean into the comic book wackiness. There is an octopus that plays the drums in Atlantis when Aquaman is fighting his brother Orm. So Jason Momoa and Patrick Wilson are just going at it, this big trident fight in this giant underwater stadium. And the crowds are cheering. The effect with the water is great. I mean, the visual effects on this movie cost a fortune. But luckily this movie made over $1 billion, so I'm guessing it made money. I guess I could check that out. Anyway, the fight between Patrick Wilson and Jason Momoa in Atlantis that's great. And there's a fight later on between the two of them at the end, because Orm is the main villain, who his superhero name, he becomes Ocean Master, which, very very inventive there. What am I looking for? Aquaman budget. Let's see what we got here. The budget says $205 million. And this is according to who? Aquaman. Okay, according to Wikipedia, it says it was 160 to 200 million, and its box office, total worldwide box office, was 1.148 billion. So even if you double the budget, 200 to 400 for marketing, it's still a massive hit. And whenever you make $1 billion movie, you're going to be making a sequel. That's going to be happening to Top Gun Maverick, because that movie made over $1 billion this year. Tom Cruise's first $1 billion movie. They said when they made it and when it was coming out, this is a one-shot deal to make a sequel from the end. We're just ending off his story and then we're done. We're not making any more. But when you make $1 billion movie, guess what? You're making a sequel whether you want to or not, because the studio's going to do it, and it's the studio's movie. So if it makes money, they're making a sequel, and that's, even if it's diminishing returns on the sequels, doesn't matter. You're still going to be making money at that point. So getting back to Aquaman, there's a lot of big plot holes. For instance, why does Mira save Aquaman from Orm in the tournament? Makes no sense. I mean, he's not even looking at her as if like checking her out, as if he's interested in her. He just kind of talks to her like, you know, he's like they're old friends or maybe a sister. So I didn't find there was a lot of romantic chemistry between the two of them. Kind of throughout the whole movie, even when she kisses him, I'm like, I don't really feel it. But maybe that's just me. Although he doesn't really start to fall in love with her until they're in Italy, and they start playing Roy Orbison. So this great classic song by Roy Orbison, "She's a Mystery to Me." Check it out. Or is it called Mystery Girl? It's called one of the two there. There's I already mentioned the all-star cast, but can you believe they got Julie Andrews to be in this movie? Julie Andrews, you know, Mary Poppins herself, because she wants to get paid, so they have her in, and all she's doing is voiceover work. She does the voice of this giant underwater kraken creature. Julie Andrews. I mean, this movie is so over the top. It's such a fun time. I can't recommend it enough. If you haven't seen it, and check to see if it's available on a streaming service you got. I might be able to watch it here on Crave, but it doesn't matter. I got my 4K and Blu-ray disc right here. Some of the effects didn't hold up very well in 4K. Maybe it's because it wasn't meant to be seen in 4K. I remember it looked really good in the theater, and that might be the way it's supposed to be presented. Maybe it's not supposed to look good on 4K. Maybe it looks better on Blu-ray. I don't know, but I felt some of the visual effects didn't work so well for me. Or maybe it's just because it's 5 years old, so. Good kitty. What else can I say about Aquaman? It's just such a... Oh, I want to talk about Black Manta. So, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, he's in this, and he's just angry the whole time. He's not really doing that much. I know recently that actor came out and was kind of saying things like, this isn't real acting, you know, this is like chump work, which not really a good thing to say, man. Anyone would kill for that role, and it's going to pay a lot of money because you're going to make residuals forever because he's Black Manta. Anyway, they give him the most comic book accurate costume, and he's got the giant, like, crab or clamshell helmet with these giant red eyes. It looks so ridiculous, and I love it. It's so wacky. Oh my god, it was so bad. And he's beating the crap out of Aquaman. This is in Italy. You know, they cut off the Roy Orbison music, and it goes into this big action sequence, which is really good. They got these long extended shots that go forever. They got shots where the camera's moving across the rooftops. And they said they got that they put a stuntman on a zip line and gave him a camera and he just records it as he's zip lining down. I think that's what James Wan said. And you just get these spectacular action sequences. And I remember when I saw it in the theater, after Black Manta's beating the crap out of Aquaman for a while, he gets pissed off and he throws this chain that's got two concrete things on the end. He throws it at him because Black Manta's flying around on his jet boots because he's got Atlantean technology. So he's got really high-tech technology. Like I said, I told you, it's absolutely ridiculous comic book world. He throws this at him and he goes off a cliff. And I remember in the theater, I was laughing my ass off. I was the only one laughing because he goes down, and it's like out of a cartoon. He hits every rock on the way down. And like, it's busting open his helmet, and I was laughing so much. It reminded me of the classic Simpsons episode where Homer kept falling off the cliff, and he keeps hitting all the rocks. That was Black Manta in this movie, and it's hilarious. I loved it. Didn't feel there was much chemistry between Amber Heard and Jason Momoa. Not that they didn't like each other, just, you know, I didn't feel like they would be interested in each other romantically at all. So that kind of was weird. And Nicole Kidman. I mean, they got Nicole Kidman in this movie, who is has been nominated for Academy Awards many times, has won an Academy Award, I think, for Best Actress, and she used to be married to Tom Cruise, so she had to put up with that guy, and now she got away from him, and she's built her own life, and she's built up her career, and so they put her in this movie, in this wacky, ridiculous movie, and they put her in the most ridiculous fish costume you've ever seen. It's like she's a Ravager, and she's wearing like pieces of fish all over her as armor, and oh my goodness, the fact that they got her and they're like, so Nicole Kidman, you want to be an Aquaman? We're going to make you wear this ridiculous costume. It's so funny. I died laughing when I saw that. And then, as you can see on the DVD cover, they got him in the traditional Aquaman suit there. Okay? That's exactly what that looks. That's exactly what that is. They're like, we're not going to change it to fix it and say the changes we made were for the better, which they always do with these kind of films. They're like, no, the designs are good. We're just going to go with it and do the best version of that we can. Because sometimes they make these when they make all these changes, and character and fans are like, what is this? Why did you change all these things? You know, it works well in the comics. Why do you have to change everything? They always say the same thing. There were changes made for the better. Well, you know, anytime you're making a movie that's adapted from a book or a comic book or a graphic novel or something, or a video game or any other kind of medium, you have to adapt sometimes. And if it's good, then no one cares, right? Because winning cures everything. But if it's good, no one will care about the flaws and the things that you changed, because if it works, then it's good. But if it doesn't work, then, and the movie's bad, then it just highlights those flaws even more. And, you know, then you get fans complaining, like, you know, they didn't cast the right guy to be Batman, or that Batmobile looks terrible, or why is Chris O'Donnell playing Robin when he's 40 years old, you know? Why is Bruce Wayne adopting a 40-year-old man to be his ward? That doesn't make any sense. Let me know what movie that was from in the comments down below. Overall, I would give Aquaman, the first Aquaman from 2018, a best movie ever. It's solid. I've probably seen it. This might be my 4th or 5th time seeing it. And now that I got my own physical media copy, I can watch it as many times as I want. Oh, hold on a second. There, look. There's Black Manta right there. Look at that giant helmet. Look how ridiculous that looks. I mean, it's so absurd. If I had to say anything bad about it, there was some parts of it where Jason Momoa was doing voiceover, so he was narrating. I was like, it didn't work. He wasn't very good at it. And then there was other parts that William Dafoe was narrating, and it was much better. I would have just gotten William Dafoe to do all of it, because then you could have a single narrator, and the role that he plays, it would kind of suit being the narrator. That's just my opinion. What do you guys think of DC's Aquaman? Is it the best DC movie that they've made, considering it's the highest grossing of all time? Let us know what you think down in the comments below. So what did I talk about? I talked about box office, Avatar, and now Aquaman. Now what I would like to talk about is a book. So I've been working on this book for a while. I've been reading from the Star Wars The High Republic series. I've been reading Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule. Now, I'm not going to lie, this book didn't blow me away. I started reading it in the summer, and I put it down because it was so it was boring me to tears. I kept falling asleep, let's say, and then I didn't want to read it to get through it. So I read it, I struggled through the first part. Actually, I didn't even get through the first part. This book is divided up into 3 parts. And I don't think I even got through the first part because it was so boring. So I put it down, and then I got back to it a few weeks ago, and I finished it a while ago, and I just haven't been able to talk about it. I haven't had time. So the first part of the book, it's a bit of a slog to get through. It's about this disaster, and so as the series name suggests, it's during the High Republic of the Star Wars canon. So I'll give you some context. If you're a fan of the Star Wars movies, the High Republic is the prequel series. Back when everything was under the Republic, and they had a Senate, and there was the Jedi Order on Coruscant. That's what all the prequel movies are about. Episodes 1, The Phantom Menace, 2, Attack of the Clones, and 3, Revenge of the Sith. That's the end of the High Republic. And then it goes into the Empire Age, which is the original movies, when the Empire's in charge and taking over the galaxy. So I've always been interested more in finding out more about Star Wars lore, and particularly the High Republic. So this book takes place, got to be decades before Episode 1. Because there's none of the character, the only character that's mentioned is Yoda, because Yoda lives for hundreds of years. So it's kind of at the point where I don't think even any of the older characters from the prequel trilogy, like Dooku or Mace Windu, the most boring man in the galaxy, Jango Fett, I don't think any of them would even be alive, would even be born at this point. So this is the height of the Jedi Order. The first part of the book is there's a disaster in one system in the Republic, but it's near the Outer Rim. Because there's an outer, and there's a mid-rim, they say, and I guess there's the inner core. I don't know. They always mention the Outer Rim. That's what all they mention in the movies is the Outer Rim. So there's a disaster. There's all these things coming out of hyperspace at ridiculously fast speeds, and they're traveling through space, and they're just hitting the planet and the colony and everything. And so the Jedi get called in to help because, if enough debris and asteroids hit this planet, then it's going to kill everyone, and it's going to destroy all the space stations as well around it, because it's just going to fly through it. So the first part of the book is all just these rescue operations, and it's pretty boring. I mean, you don't know any of these characters. It's kind of just your introduction to some of these Jedi characters, and I mean, it's Star Wars names, so it's really hard to remember them. It's Jedi Master Avar Kriss and Supreme Chancellor Lena Soule, I think it is. I mean, it's just, there's some real Minister Eka. I don't know who that is. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing some of these correctly, because I've never heard anyone say their names correctly. Scantech Mervyn Getter. I'm like, what the? So it's got a lot of difficult names in it. So I'm trying to learn these names and learn some of the characters. So it introduces me to a character. Okay, I gotta remember this name. This is the captain. And it's like, boom, that character's dead. I'm like, why am I trying to remember this character's name? What is this? So once I got through the first slog, then I got to the second part, and it got much better. It got much more interesting. You find out there's more going on. It wasn't just a natural disaster, so the Jedi and a bunch of people got to go investigate this. And, I'm not going to spoil it. So they go off and they have to deal with this problem because there's the Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Republic is currently in the works of doing what she calls her great works, doing these huge public service works and building these huge kind of like they're doing the Starlight Beacon, which is kind of these giant satellites throughout the galaxy to improve communications, but it's pretty much, it's so big it's going to bankrupt the Republic. I don't know. Overall, it was a decent book. I mean, it says it's a #1 New York Times bestseller. I mean, I found it kind of dry. If this is what all the books are like, I'm not going to keep reading these. I want to learn more about the Star Wars lore, and apparently this stuff is supposed to be in canon. I don't think it's going to be, because there's just too much Star Wars content for everything to be in canon. It's going to be, these are the books, and then the movies might take inspiration from that, but it's different, and the comic books are kind of what Marvel Studios does with the MCU movies and what DC does with its DC movies, Just because that happened in the comic doesn't mean we have to adhere to exactly that, If you saw Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, that Doomsday's in it, but it's not exactly like the same Doomsday storyline with from the comics. So, spoilers on that. But I mean, that movie's from 2016, so that's 7 years old now. If you haven't seen it by then, that's your fault. So this is part of a series of books on the High Republic. I ordered the next one, and so I'm getting it also in paperback. I like just having books to read, in physical media form, I guess. What do you think? Do you like that, or prefer reading it electronically? I don't like reading it electronically. I mean, audiobooks are good, but I like to actually just read the book. What's your preference? Let me know down in the comments below. Have you read this book, Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule? He's also a comic book writer. I've read a lot of his comics. And he writes a lot of other stuff. I don't know. He might get into screenplays or something. I haven't checked his IMDb, but I have seen him other places. His name pops up. Have you read this book, Light of the Jedi? Are you going to read it? Do you care about Star Wars at all? Do you hate Star Wars? Let us know down in the comments below. How long have we been going for here now, Fluffy? 45 minutes. What else do I have to review? Won't get into too much else. I'm continuing watching The Handmaid's Tale, so I'm working on season 3. I'm going to try and get a season done each week. The first season was really the introduction to Gilead and this world and how it got broken down. And all these women that are handmaids now, but there's different categories. In the second season, spoilers, but I mean this series, season 1 was 2017, and season 2 was 2018. So anyway, spoilers for The Handmaid's Tale because I'm still getting caught up. The second season, we find out that the women who are handmaids weren't exactly the best people. They weren't necessarily bad people, but they weren't exactly the upstanding citizens. Essentially, this ultra-conservative, ultra-religious world has deemed these women to be whores. And so they brought back the Scarlet Letter, if you know that story. And so all these women wear red because, Scarlet Letter, because the society has deemed them to be, less than the highest caliber, I guess, in this ridiculous dystopian future. And also they wear red because then if they try to escape, they're easier to catch, because they're easier to see. So we learned that June, because we don't know why she was made a handmaid in the first tale, we know that she was captured and then made into a handmaid because anyone who is a fertile woman of childbearing age and can have children, they make into a handmaid because most of the women in this world, and they allude to maybe most of the men, are just infertile. So that's this weird dystopian future where no one can have children, where very few people can have children, so there's a bit of a population crisis. So so she's made a handmaid. In the second season, we find out Gilead has determined that she's a whore because her husband, they got together while he was actually still married to his previous wife, whom he got separated with and divorced, and then they got married. But when they first got together, he was still with his ex-wife. They were still technically married. So when she gets captured at the beginning of the show, she's made into a handmaid, and so now her job is to bear children. And the Marthas are like maids, cooks. They look after the house, they prepare all the meals and everything. These appear to be women that are not of childbearing age. Okay, these would be, a little bit older women, and some of them who I guess are infertile. I don't know. Now, going into the third season, it's taken a different turn because now the main character, June, she's in a different house. And I thought the second season was going to be about her trying to get away, because in the first episode of the second season she escapes, but then she gets caught at the end of the third episode. I thought that she was going to be trying to get away, or that she might get away. But anyway, she gets caught, and really the second season is about her being pregnant. And then she has the baby at the end of the second season. And now the third season, she's in a different house, so she's working for a different commander. And because they're very protective when it comes to names. They don't know, like the people that run the world of Gilead, they're called commanders, but no one knows exactly who's in what position. Like they might hear like this person's a really high-ranking commander and this person's a lower-ranking commander, but they don't know, like, is this person the president? Is this person the finance treasurer or secretary? Who knows? Is this person in charge of the military? They don't know, and they keep that really hush-hush. Meanwhile, a lot of people keep trying to escape to Canada. A lot of Americans keep trying to escape to Canada, where Canada is the same paradise and it just seems to be a regular world there. Although, the one thing that keeps bringing me out of this show is, why is there no television? I don't really understand that. I think I saw one television in this show. When they traveled to Canada, I saw a television in the lobby of the hotel, but it was turned off. It's as if there's no television in this world. We see that there's smartphones in second season because her friend, who is Moira, who escapes to Canada, she uses a phone, but we never see any television. So I'm not. So maybe in this Gilead world, they've gotten rid of all media, which I don't think people would like that. And we never see anyone using any phones there, or none of the women that are subjugated are allowed access to anything like that. They're not even allowed access to books or to read or even writing utensils. At one point, Serena is getting June to help her, and because June used to be an editor, and so she gives her a pen so that she can start writing and editing these documents that she's given her. And it's a big deal that she gets to use a pen. And I'm like, okay. Like I said, this is a world where women have no rights in this Gilead world, and now that it's getting into season 3, we got Bradley Whitford showed up at the end of season 2. If you remember him, he was the dad in Get Out, guy with the gray hair. They should call him the Silver Fox. So he's in this now, and he's a really interesting character. He's not a villain, but he's not quite a hero either. He's just... It's hard to pinpoint what he is. Is he helping them because he feels guilty, or is he testing them? I mean, he has helped them, but to what end? I don't know. His character is really complex, and I haven't quite figured it out yet. Also, I'm not quite up to date. I'm going to try and get through season 3 by next weekend, and I'll try and do a season a week, and then I'll be up to season 5. So I think I'm 3 episodes into season 3, so I got 10 more to go, and then the next seasons are all 10 episodes each, so they're less, so that's good. So yeah, dark, depressing Handmaid's Tale. Are you guys checking it out? Let me know down in the comments below. I'm also continuing to watch The Big Bang Theory. I think I'm only 4 episodes in because I don't have as much time. Episode 3, Leonard goes on his first date with Penny, but she doesn't know it's a date because he's so smooth. No, he's not really good with the ladies. And yeah, this is such a stereotype, but it's funny, and this is a classic episode. I really enjoyed it. And then episode 4, hey kitty, Sheldon gets fired because he mouths off to the dean because he doesn't think he's a real scientist. And what else? Yeah, so then he stays home and he just kind of goes crazy because he's doing all these weird experiments and starting all these different things and then switching. He just becomes obsessive with all kinds of things because he doesn't have any purpose, I guess, in his life. So Leonard calls his mom on him from Texas. So the great Laurie Metcalf, who was on Roseanne, she shows up as Sheldon's mom. And I mean, she's always great in everything. She pops up every now and then, but I'm sure she's getting lots of residuals from Roseanne. And now, I guess, Big Bang Theory. So she shows up as early as episode 4, season 1. And yeah, it's another hilarious episode. I want to watch more of it. I just don't have the time. Especially not when I have to go see a 3-hour, 15-minute movie of Avatar 2 today. I'm not going to be doing that anymore. So, yeah, definitely enjoying Big Bang Theory. Are you guys big fans of that? Leave a comment down below. The only other thing I checked out was Inventing Anna. I went to check out episode 2 because it's a limited series, and I just wasn't into it. Just too much of this journalism stuff that I'm not into, investigative journalism. And I really didn't care for the story. They didn't interest me that much. So I said, look, I'm not going to watch all 8 or 9 episodes of this. If I'm already, I don't even think I finished episode 2. I might have got halfway through it. I'm not going to invest another possibly 7.5 hours. I'm just wasting my time. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe some people watched it all and they really enjoyed it. Maybe it gets better after the second episode. Let me know if it does. I know Christine recommended it for me, but I just couldn't get into it. Next Thursday, I'm going to keep with the same schedule of recording on Friday and Sunday, and then posting Saturday and Monday mornings. So next Thursday we get Megan, which is a thriller movie, I believe, by Blumhouse. Check out the trailer. That's the creepy AI doll. And early reports came out about a month ago that it was really good. So I'm going to go check it out on preview night, and I'll report back on the Friday show. And I don't know if anything else is coming out that I'll check out, but I'm going to try and get through season 3 of The Handmaid's Tale. Not watching Inventing Anna. If I get to watch another movie, I got Shazam, the first one from 2019, I believe. I'm going to check out. You can always email the show, CanadaMovieTVHosers@gmail.com. You can always leave a comment down below if you want to get in touch with us. You can follow the show on Twitter @CanadaHosers. You can also use that hashtag CanadaHosers, if you want to get in touch with us on Twitter. And you can also follow me on Twitter @St. John's Critic, where I and my wife's cats are posted a lot of the time there. So be sure to like this video, and you can always subscribe. That'll help us out. Take care, everyone. Have a good one.